Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sapient Academia. In this particular lecture, we'll be talking about restoration satire. So, if you remember, in the previous lecture, we had discussed satire in detail. We went through the definition of satire, then the evolution and history of satire, and then we discussed different types of satire. So in this video, we'll be talking about Restoration satire as we are discussing Restoration Age. That is from 1660 when Charles II restored the throne to 1700. So Restoration satire, or you can say satire in the age of Dryden. So the Restoration Age is known for the climax of satire. It flourished, it matured, it ripe, and it thrived. And it was not just the Restoration Age that satire thrived and then it ceased its journey. It was thriving in the succeeding ages. You see that satire was enjoying its glory even after the Restoration Age. Go through this particular line that is from The History of English Literature by Dr. Teesing. He says, the Restoration Age is known for the great efflorescence of the spirit of satire, which was to reign supreme for decades thereafter. So, satire thrived in the Restoration Age and it continued its journey. It was not that satire kicked the bucket after the Restoration Age. So, in the hands of Dryden, satire became for the first time a polished and highly effective weapon, and that particular weapon had been used for several purposes, such as weapon of offense, weapon of correction, and even self-expression. Satire was not limited and restricted to Restoration poetry, but you can witness it in the Restoration drama tragedy as well as comedy. Generally, tragedy does not lend itself to satire, but in one of the works that is by Otway's Venice Preserved, you can witness satire. And on the other hand, if we talk about comedy, so Restoration comedy is nothing if it's not satirical. So it must be satirical. Its obvious intention, and you can say objective, was to comment upon the contemporary manners and to satirize the deviations from the accepted code of gentleness. So you'd see that it was to criticize and to figure out all the vice and follies in the society. Thus, we have to agree with the statement of Kazamian. According to him, the restoration theatre, in a sense, and in its most brilliant aspect, one great satire. The Restoration satirists were greatly influenced by the great Roman satirists that we have already discussed in our previous lectures, Persius, Juvenal, and Horace. They were studied, they were appreciated, they were admired, and even imitated. One of the satirists of the Restoration age, Oldham. So, Oldham thought that he was copying Juvenal in his own satire, and that is why he was called later the English Juvenal. So, the English Juvenal is basically one of the satirists of the Restoration age, Oldham. But it was not only the study of the Roman classics which encouraged satire in the Restoration age. There were, a great influence of France. And from France, you can say, imported the concept of and even the spirit of satire, and that is in the work of Boileau. So, Boileau, you can say, the new classical French poet, critic, and satirist, was the most brilliant practitioner of this genre. So, most of the English satirists of the last years of the 17th and early years of the 18th century exhibit in their work a more considerable influence of Boileau than of the Roman satirists. If you talk about the reason of the growth and the satirical spirit, So it's quite common, as we have discussed, that when it flourishes. So it flourishes when you see that things are falling short of their well expected standards of excellence. So when things are not up to the mark, when they are not just touching the standards of excellence, and you see in the Restoration Age, when you go through the situation of the Restoration Age, the fall of Charles I, and the political turmoil and the society corruption. So such were the reasons that satire flourished in the Restoration Age. If you talk about the satirists of the age, so the first one is in fact Samuel Butler. Samuel Butler has an important work, and you must remember it, that is Hudibras. So, Hudibras appeared in three parts. The first one is in 1663, another 1664, and the last part 1678. And it's very important work of Samuel Butler, followed by one of the greatest satirists of the time, John Dryden. So Dryden is the most distinguished of the Restoration satirists. It was he who established classical satire in England, breaking away from the traditions of Butler and others. So John Dryden was the greatest of all, and we'll be uploading a separate video on John Dryden being the satirist of the age. Here we are just giving a glimpse, and let us go through his work. One of the important satire and outstanding, that is Absalom and Achitophel. That is a political satire, and probably written at the suggestion of the king himself, to embody the royal and Tory point of view regarding the exclusion crisis. Another work is The Middle, that is also a political satire, and another is Macflecknoe. Other minor satirists of the age include Oldham. Oldham, which we discussed also, he has often been called the English juvenile, so you must remember it. He is the minor satirist of the Restoration Age. Another one is Rochester. Rochester is known for one of his poems, that is On Nothing, and this poem was praised by Dr. Johnson. So it's very important poem. And Rochester is also known for another poem, Satire Against Mankind. Another important minor satirist is Charles Cotton. So you must remember these minor satirists after Samuel Butler and John Dryden. If someone asks you a question that which type of satire was basically flourishing in the Restoration Age, there are three types of satire: the Horatian satire, the juvenile satire, the Menippean satire, and we have discussed all these in the previous videos. So, in the Restoration Age, there is a blend of these satires. You can witness Horatian, juvenile, and Menippean satire at the same time. Horatian satire in the work of Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock, juvenile in Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal, Menippean in the works of John Dryden's Absalom and Achitophel. There are some other examples, such as Horatian satire in Jonathan Swift's A Tale of a Tub, same like this juvenile satire in Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels, or you can say in the John Dryden's The Middle, Menippean satire in Jonathan Swift's The Battle of the Books. So various example you can witness. So the Restoration satire is a blend of these three types of satire. Meet you in the next video. That will be a detailed video on John Dryden being the satirist of the age. Stay tuned with us, like and subscribe.